Now, live in the studio for us is Katie Hopkins, whose new book is called Rude. I've read it, Katie. It most certainly is that. It's at times, I think, devastatingly and unforgivably rude about some people. But let me ask you, first of all, and welcome to Chop Radio, by the way, about the chapter I found particularly intriguing about your struggles with and living with epilepsy. What's the current state of your health?
Really good, actually. I have been really fortunate. My surgery last April, so a year and a half ago now, time flies, was really successful. And so I no longer have fits at all. I'm epilepsy-free.
But what you describe is absolutely terrifying, because at times you say you're doing phone interviews with people and you're trying to disguise the fact you can't speak properly because you've practically bitten your tongue in half.
Yes, so there's times where... Carol, would you mind taking off your cans a minute and coming over here?
Why?
Just come here a minute.
What
You're not squeamish, are you?
What are you going to do?
No. So
Remember, there's no upper limit on sexual harassment
give me
cases
your
in UK
hand
law.
and put it on here.
Oh,
So
wow.
that's there. That's my brain there. So you can feel Carol there.
feel it.
She's got my brain in her hands.
It's like a huge... And
I'm like a boiled
I
egg,
know you've
but with
had
no
that,
shell.
The cap of your head taken off twice.
Yes, yeah, you need your mic back.
Sorry,
But
I know you've had the cap of your skull taken off twice after the operation.
yes, it went a bit manky.
Okay,
And
let
that's not a medical term. I am going back to my epilepsy, but so I'm a boiled egg, and you can feel my brain.
But let me ask you then about the impact of that. And I'm not for saying that epilepsy leads to any kind of mental illness, but do you think in any way that's changed your attitude to life? Did it make you feel bitter?
of
Did it make you
course.
feel angry about life? Because you're a very angry person from this book.
No, not at all. I mean, I think that most people have just found that the book makes them laugh a lot.
I think it won't make Michael Gove's wife, Sarah Vine, laugh. I found that particularly cruel. That I mean, interesting you're laughing at that. Well, I've never met the woman.
No,
You've
that's
interviewed
you're
Michael many
blessed.
times. No, but
You're a blessed gentleman.
But I mean, I can't say on air on a radio station what you write about her, and it would seem to me. I mean,
you can, but you'd get off.
I choose not to. I choose not to.
Yes.
What do you say then to these people when you meet them? You must bump into Sarah Vine from time. You were a
I
colleague
don't.
of hers for a while.
I mean, she's very wide, so if she was on the same pavement as me, I would bump into her, I guess. But I think what I've written about her, what I've written about others, is just my truths. And I
It's
suppose
cruel,
the
though.
thing.
But can't you filter out the cruelness of the cruelty,
No,
Katie?
I think the thing is, Paul, you had a choice, didn't you? You could read the book or not. So if you're offended by it, you've taken offence. I didn't give you any offence.
Well,
You
my
picked up
Okay,
on
can I-
it.
can I
position.
guess
Can I just say
Carol,
my
too?
position is slightly
Yeah.
different
Don't
because,
do
of course,
Carol.
I,
Why not get a word in,
He's
darling?
not letting me get a word in.
Elbow
Well,
your way in, sweetie.
I just want
Ignore
to
the
respond
little
if I may.
topster.
I just want
You go.
to respond if I may to what you
Whereas
said.
Carol just wants to say one
I would have probably
thing.
read the book, but I chose to read it, of course, because we're out of courtesy, because we're interviewing you. It's just the cruelty I find difficult to take.
I don't think it's a cruel book at all. I think it's a really honest book. I think most people have said it's just made them laugh out loud. There's chapters that are hard to read, like the epilepsy chapter, because it is so honest. And it is my kind of handbook for life. I think for everyday people who are having a rubbish day, start their commute at 6 o'clock, 2 hours to get to work, if you've got Rude in your handbag, it lets you see that other people's lives aren't perfect either. My life is so far from perfect. And I think what we get tired of these days is people who pretend to have these saccharine, sweet, sugar-coated lives. We persecute people like that poor child Jack from the jungle. We persecute people for things they may have said in the past. That's completely wrong. You know,
Okay.
so that's not hard, that's not angry, that's not aggressive. That's a much more libertarian view of life than probably you have.
Unless
And
you're
certainly
Sarah Vine.
Oh, well done, Carol, you're going for it, darling.
So
Go on.
you say that you say what other people feel that they can't say. Now, let's talk about the final solution comment. Because lots of times I read what you say and you have me for 3/4 of the way. Then you say something so hideous and you lose me and probably everyone else. Now, the
Yeah.
final solution comment was one of those comments. Now, you said later you didn't mean to say that, but you must have known
Lasting
how that was going to
solution.
be interpreted.
Well, I think lasting solution would have been a much better choice of words.
But it still had an association, and you're too smart not to have known what that association was.
I didn't really think about it. 7:30 in the morning, we just had an entire little group of young girls detonated at Manchester, for which, we still here in this radio studio talking about one tweet from me. We're not talking about the fact we haven't addressed the jihadi terror crisis in this country. We're not talking about the fact that every time there's a terror attack, we're supposed to say, Islam is great, Muslims are great, and let's all be careful about hate crimes.
Where'd you
I
get
know,
that from,
let's point
Katie?
the,
Who says
let's
that?
Point the
Who
finger.
says that?
That's largely recognised as the narrative that we're supposed to swallow. You clearly have hook, line and sinker. Let's all make heart-shaped gestures at the sky. Let's have a hashtag. Let's turn the Eiffel Tower lights on and off. Let's all say we stand together. Let's all
you
say
said
we
you chose the
stand
wrong word.
united.
Are you sorry you tweeted
let's
that
all
then?
say, I'm finishing, Paul. You don't have to listen. You could do something else, darling. Let's all say we stand together. Guess what? We don't stand together. Guess what? We're not united. And guess what? Those 12 girls who got blown apart will never be able to go back to their families. And that same week, parents were burying their daughters. And you're worried about one of my tweets, then I think you need to get a sense of perspective. I also noticed when Labour Palestine tweeted final solution, that was A-OK. So is it all right for Labour, but not all right for a Conservative? Just make your minds up.
Okay. You were talking about the migrant crisis. Now, this is one of the times you lost me when you were talking about.
But
the
I'm not
migrants.
trying to keep you.
No,
Carol.
I know you're.
Your
not, I know. But listen, but that was one of the times.
In my life, Carol.
Would you be sorry for that, having said what you said about the migrants?
No, not at all. I absolutely stand by every word.
When you compare them to cockroaches.
Shall I try and answer Carol's question, Paul, or are you going to?
I'm trying to clear it up because the listeners may not be aware of every single thing you've tweeted.
Your listeners will be very intelligent people, Paul.
But they may not have your track record in their minds. I'm merely clearing it up for them.
Yes, but I'm quite.
Okay. This is just turning into a scrap now. Let's hear what she has to say about the migrants. Okay, let's hear what you felt about when you said that you referred to migrants as cockroaches.
Sure. So I was arrested and interviewed under caution by the Metropolitan Police Major Crime and Homicide Command for that one 500-word article in a national paper, which you all respect, has to get through a backbench, has to get through an editorial staff, has to get through the editor before it can get into a newspaper.
I did wonder about that at the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
I take full responsibility to everything I write, of course, but having sat in that police cell, station, whatever, a room inside a police station, and been interviewed by two officers on a tape recorder, the old-fashioned record and play, do you remember? Which was kind of a crazy thing. And then I gave this big speech about how I meant what I said, how I defend my right to say what I think. And if you want to layer on, and I'm not indicating you, other people want to layer on their own messages. If you want to make the word cockroach about Rwandan genocide, that's you layering on that. I never said that. I meant cockroach in the enduring sense. We all get taught at school. We used to. People will know out there. Your listeners will know. We used to get taught cockroach is the only thing that can survive a nuclear holocaust. And I was talking about their enduring nature.
Do you wish you had used a different word?
No,
Do you
not
stand
at all.
by that word?
Absolutely. It was a great column. It was well put. Would I have stopped the boats? Yes. Should we have sent the military in to stop the boats 4 years ago? Yes. Would it have saved an enormous number of lives if people had done as I'd intended? Yes. Did Australia say no more and stop the boats? Yes, they did. And we have failed. Theresa May has come out recently, as you know, and said enough is enough. But of course, with Britain, enough is never enough, and it happens again. We are absolutely pathetic in the face of migrants and open borders and terrorists.
You say in the book that even now, when you say something now that may be eminently right, eminently sensible, people will dismiss it because you've said it. And that's kind of self-defeating, isn't it, Katie?
There is a side to that. It's quite nice when Paul goes quiet, isn't it? And you can actually hear yourself think. It's quite nice just talking to you, Carol.
Come on.
I do think there is a point where, and the first chapter of Rude, you know, the first line, I am not a twat. And I apologise if twat's offensive. And,
So you said it twice.
Well, I just thought, for good measure.
Although you do say quite witty, then not a complete one anyway,
Yes,
which is an endearing way to
exactly.
start the book.
Thank you, Paul. Very kind of you. That's a lot of my life is spent. I get booked for something. I say, let's have a coffee, because I always think it's nice for people just to have chit chats before we do a thing. And then I leave these meetings after a coffee, and I'm just me. And people say, oh, you're nothing like what I thought you were. And that's true. I think we struggle sometimes. I look round, here in the desk, how many men are there and how many women in this place? And same in any other radio or TV or broadcasting place I've worked in. People assume that women with strong opinions, and you'll understand, I reckon, Carol, and I do love you deeply. Women with strong opinions have to be mean or nasty or a biatch or whatever. Men with strong opinions are just seen as fairly robust. And actually I say, no, I am just this thing. I am this little ditty 5'8" tiny thing. And people always say when I get in their cars, never an Uber, obvs, when I get in black cabs, they say, oh, you're really small. And there's something about me and or my voice that people think I'm massive.
So listen, you get a lot of flack. You get flack all the time. I've read some of the stuff. No, but
in the street, I don't, Carol.
Not in the street, no, but like on Twitter and all this. You get a lot of terrible things. You say a lot of terrible things. You get a lot of terrible things said to you. That must affect you in some way.
Not really. I quite admire people that have their say. Look, they might say, look, I want to rape you with a machete. They don't mean that. What they mean is, I disagree with what you say, and I wish that you would see that this opinion is also valid. They don't have the language skills to be able to do that. Sadly, our schools have failed so many people, and most people are going to university now unable to read or write properly. And so they say, I want to rape you with a machete. What they mean is, you're wrong. And I accept that. I also accept the fact that, as with so many people, Anne Sowbury, Diane Abbott, others, if you put yourself out there, sweeties, you are going to take some criticism and you need to suck that up. And Diane Abbott, actually, sweetie, I know she did actually bore someone into a near coma actually on Question Time this week, which is unfortunate for Diane. But the reason that she gets a lot of flack on Twitter is not because she's black. We're not racist. She's just really crap at maths. And so you have to acknowledge your own
Okay, now
failings.
listen, so you get a lot of flag. How does that flag? I know you're a good mum. I know you worship your kids. Does that flag
Well, I don't
that
at
you
the
get-
moment. They're late for school
Okay,
because
all right,
Max
okay,
has
well,
forgotten
never
his
mind
music
that.
book.
But that flag must reflect on them, does it?
No, because it's a curious thing, and I'm sure my children partly act as a filter for this, but whether that's a good or bad thing, I don't know. But you'll recognise when people are online, they write all sorts of things, and there's also a lot of support online. It's quite overwhelming at times. But in the street, you have people that will come up, shake your hand, take your photo, not in a selfie way, but in a, I want to show my mum this or my dad this, or you get people leaning out their car windows going, go on, Katie, go on. And then I do a weird kind of, I'm never sure the answer to that. So I kind of go, oh, that's really...
I wouldn't do that.
I know, it's so naff.
So you are...
What do you do when someone goes, go on, Katie?
The V sign, in a good way. The
This-
Churchill
so
way.
what
What if I
they
get
do-
it wrong?
But let me ask you this: we've mentioned Twitter and emails. This is just coming
Yes.
from this, okay? Please ask, and I
Hit
don't know
it.
the details of this, so
Hit
forgive
it.
me and correct it if you need to. Please ask Katie to clarify her tweet this week regarding dyslexia being just lady students or a result of bad teachers. She goes on to say, someone you screenshotted yesterday had hundreds of abusive, foul-mouthed Katie followers harassing him. All he tweeted was criticism of her being offensive regarding refugees. So it's about Twitter and those kind of
no.
spats that develop on Twitter. So
Yes.
dyslexia first.
So a good point, a good question, and well done for being such a stalker of my Twitter and being able to quote it so accurately. As always, I suppose there's an unfollow button, isn't there, on Twitter? So I don't like what I'm saying on Twitter. It's not compulsory to follow. It's a bit like a remote control. You can change the channel on your TV or radio, actually. One, dyslexia. Do I agree with labels and badges? No. Do I think we use labels and badges too often? Yes. And are our children coming out of schools poorer and poorer, more poorly educated than at any time in our history? Yes. And there has to be a reason for that. The reason must be that we give too many excuses.
That simply isn't true, Katie. I'm catching only because...
you're
because
not
if you
the
go back-
guardian of the
at
truth,
any time,
Paul Ross.
At any time in our history,
Your
you're
truth
saying.
is not
So
the
you're
truth.
telling me that children who left school at 14 in the Edwardian era were better educated than ours now?
For those that were able to get access to education and made an effort, they
Overall,
relatively
they couldn't
were
have been then,
smarter.
because maybe
But
relatively,
just
but not
pointing
overall.
out, also, you're not the guardian of the truth, Paul Ross. It's your opinion, and your opinion
Well,
is different to
on
mine.
this case, I'm correcting you factually.
Oh, well, nice, but no, you don't have the facts, sweetie. You have your own opinions, and those are different to mine, and I accept yours. You must accept mine, perhaps. But the other point to your caller's question, respecting the listener, is that they asked about a gentleman who just complained about me on Twitter being offensive and then was harassed all day. No, incorrect. I screenshotted his tweet, which had been lobbying Twitter to remove my account, remove my ability to speak, and asked why Twitter hadn't taken my account down because I'm so offensive. I could find that for you and show it to you. And I merely put that up there so other people could see. Well, if you want to report me to Twitter, please do. I always say that. Please report me. If it makes you feel better to click on a mouse, if that's empowerment, you go. Then my supporters, my followers will stand up for me. There is a big crowd out there, the Hopkins Army, and I really appreciate them. And the support is overwhelming at times. People see me as standing strong against the tide of political correctness.
They see you as the person to say things that they can't say. This is what you say in the book, that you say things they can't say. But you do engender, it's fair to say you engender hate among people. And there's a quote on the back of your book, and good on you for putting it on the back of the book. It's from Simon Cowell. He says, I would rather take a bath, fill it with vinegar, cut myself 1,000 times, immerse myself in it for an hour, than work with her. I mean, would somebody say something like that about you? I
put it on my book there, Carol.
You did. I have strong opinions about people. I tell you, but some of the stuff you get.
I must say that what's great about that is the fact that actually, if you dish it out, you can certainly take it.
She can.
Katie,
take
can you stay with us for another 5 minutes?
Yeah, of course.
Katie Hopkins in the studio talking about a new book, Rude. It most certainly is that. It is very funny as well, though, but be warned, it should come maybe with one of those parental guidance needed stickers or certificates. It's 8:48, it's Talk Radio. And with Carol Malone, of course, and this morning also with Katie Hopkins live in the studio. We've had some emails and questions for Katie. We're going to get to those in a moment. Welcome back, though, Katie. And Carol, I think you had a question,
Yeah,
didn't you?
I want to to go back to the epilepsy because I think what people might not know, and they will if they buy your book, is that this was actually a brain tumour.
So a brain tumour that was malignant, so nothing really. It was kind of like a lump in my head that I grew up with. So at the age of 19, I started my fits, and those progressed kind of rapidly. So that by the time I was about 35, I had about 4. They were always at night time, which obviously you can then hide to a certain degree. About 4 or 5 fits a night, and then both of my shoulders would dislocate, come out of their socket. So typically a night would be fits. My husband would try and hold my shoulders into my sockets. Let's say my left one particularly used to come out, so then we would have call an ambulance, go to A&E, get the arm relocated, which isn't super the least painful thing I can think of. So they've been out about 30, 40 times. But I say that not for the kind of, ooh, that's painful, because lots of people have lots of problems. It's about the fact that then you have to just get up in the morning, get back on the train and get going again and kind of hide it away. And I spent 20 years or so hiding my epilepsy, and I'm not sure that's the right thing, and that's why I encourage other people to talk about it.
And doctors told you if you hadn't had this up, you would have died within 2 years.
Yeah, I had 2-year life expectancy. So my standard thing on the road would be to, wake up. I don't know where the cough button is in the studio. To wake up and then text my mum, I'm here. Text Mark, I'm here. And that just meant that the night had gone.
So Paul touched on it vaguely before. Do you think that tumour in some way contributed to your outspokenness, or were you like
struggle
that?
You had to make
or
after
were
a
you
fit?
not even that? I mean, physically, did it have some kind of impact on your brain? This is not a flippant question.
No, I'm not. I don't think you are being flippant at all. I think my epilepsy certainly has defined my life. I would say that I don't give it the credit of being who I am, but it certainly defined much of my life. And I don't think it's to do with changes in my brain, though of course I now actually am registered brain damaged. But I think it's got to do with fighting. So if every day it's a fight to have made it out of bed to get your clothes on, because obviously I can feel it now. It's painful when your shoulders have been out. To hide your marks where they've put the morphine lines in your legs and your arms. To hide and to fight and present strength. That's why I present strength quite a lot. I fight a lot of things because I've had to fight, and it's why I suspect I have so little time nor tolerance
and you
for people who I perceive as a victim, when I know we have to sometimes, Carol, we have to put on a strong face and wait for ourselves.
But not everybody can do that, though, can they,
But Paul,
Katie?
I would encourage them.
Okay.
I do really encourage them. And my message to young people as well is, you can do this. I know there's thousands of people out there just like me that going downstairs, stairs are weird things. We just go downstairs as if you don't notice. Stairs are scary things if you're an epileptic or whatever. Just getting out your door sometimes in the morning can be an actual challenge itself.
So you're saying...
I say to people, go on, you can.
So you're saying what you need to say in case there's not enough time, in case something happens to you.
Well, there was a time where, certainly I didn't see that another year would go by. I had everything organised for it. And when I went in for my surgery, there was a big chance I didn't come back. I had a file, the death file, the file of doom, as I called it, with all the things for my children, letters, bank statements, everything set up for everybody. My mum's, birthday card done for 2 months' time, all those things done. So that I've definitely been given a new life. And it's why I think I feel partly invincible now, because I've been gifted this new life. So when a jihadi, for example, is out to decapitate me, I think, no.
So in this lovely new life of yours, when hate is still being directed at you, when this gets thrown at you every day, surely you don't want that in your life?
No, I do, because this book, I think, shows, the last chapter, it's about telling people, we've got this, we can do this. People that voted Brexit are brave Brexiteers, and I'm right there behind you. And it doesn't matter if you send the police at me, which people do, vexatious litigation, social services my children reported to. It doesn't matter if you take away my Twitter account or my radio show through some convoluted notion about a tweet that was fine if Labour did it. I am still here. I'm still standing strong. Epilepsy didn't beat me, and nor will anyone else for that matter, and I will not give in.
OK, let me ask you about another F word. You've talked about fits. Let's talk about fat.
Oh, I say. How exciting.
See the way he did
I thought that was an
good.
offer.
You put on a lot of weight for the TLC documentary you did. Do you still
I can't
think...
imagine you naked, Paul. I don't think I...
Believe me, you don't want the hideous vision in your life.
I don't think I do.
But do you still think that fat people, by and large, it's a self-inflicted thing and they need more self-control?
Yes, so the reason you're overweight is because you eat too much and you don't
With
move
me, it's
enough.
the lager.
And this morning, I suspect you took the lift up here. Yes, you should have taken the stairs. There's only 2 flights. It would have done you good. So my
In fact,
advice...
it's 3 flights, and I did take the stairs,
Well,
but never mind.
No, I'm sure you didn't, darling. Well, either way, you can't really explain why I can see your gut between that bottom button of your shirt.
Only 'cause
So
you
my
look it,
advice
darling.
to you think you have an answer for everything, but you're still the one that's going to exit this studio 2 stone overweight. So my advice to you is to step away from the fridge. Don't shove it all in your face. Walk a little bit more, and then you'll see the weight come off. So I put on 50 pounds and lost it again in 3 months. 3 months on, 3 months off, to prove that I'm not lucky to be skinny and that you are fat because you're lazy. And I think that was quite a powerful program.
It was a powerful documentary, and I watched it. And on this, I totally agree with you. So I know I'm fat, and I know exactly why I'm fat.
Got good skin, though,
I don't.
sweetie.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. I've still
My
got a
mother
fat body.
says you've got great skin.
That's as may be, but I am aware that the fatter I get, and you showed this in your documentary, you changed as a person. You became depressed. You became
Smelly.
angrier, if that's possible.
Very angry.
And that is what
very
happens to fat
sweaty
people.
as well.
Yeah, well, yeah, okay. Well, she's pointing down there, people.
Sweaty
I'm
feet,
just
she
trying to
means.
turn on
She
Paul.
doesn't mean sweaty feet.
Had a
But,
sweaty area.
But and I know what that feels like, and I was kind of cheering you on that particular one. I get a lot of abuse when I say fat is people's own
I
fault,
know, it's
but I can say that because I'm fat. You were standing there as the thin person saying it, so that's kind of why I didn't
Yes,
get down
and
too
actually,
well.
when I was fat, so 4 stone heavier, which I thought would all go on here on my boobles,
No,
but
it
it
didn't.
didn't. It was
Went
very
round your belly.
It was very disappointing, I can tell you. But when I was fat, actually, my message was a lot more powerful as well, and I was a lot more kind of welcomed into the larger sized community because I was kind of part of it. So it was a curious thing. But I think my big takeaway from that was it was a massively emotional journey. And when I was fat, I was nothing. I didn't feel like myself. I didn't want to be out, and I totally get, so many of my friends, other women, when we go out, they say, oh, I've got nothing to wear, and what they mean is
Nothing fits me.
well, not really that, more I don't feel nice in anything, and that's such a big thing in life generally.
Okay.
If we
Well, let's end
feel
on a
good
complimentary
about
note.
ourselves,
Let's
we
end
can
on a
do
comment that
better.
you do look rather fabulous in your wonderful
She
black
does.
and yellow dress for Black Friday. She's been Katie Hopkins. The book is called
Can
Rude.
I not ask one more question?
Well, it's nearly 9 o'clock.
What
but
is
if
the
you must...
what is the
Go on,
what is the
Carol.
worst part of you? Tell me quickly, and then what's the best part?
The best part of me is my ability to find the fun.
And the worst part?
The worst part of me is that I take no prisoners and I make no apology for it either.
It's almost 9 o'clock. It's Talk Radio. Katie Hopkins' book is out now. It's called Rude, Food for Thought. It's Talk Radio.